It's Wednesday, and you know what that means, guys. It is, of course, Christmas Day. Merry Christmas to everybody. But today we have got the latest weekly live event from Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, and we have now got New Year's Eve valid from today, Christmas Day, up until New Year's Day. Have a happy new year with Test Drive. Fantastic. And of course, we do get a little weekly reward there. The emote, the love emote. It is what it is. These are the rewards. But as expected, we have again had a weekly drop. And what have we got in store this week? First of all, Gathering the Gang, a 3.2 mile domination race on asphalt. Maximum 1970 year build with a maximum RP of 400, so we know we're going to be back in the classic car category. Quite like that one, jumping back into those cars that we don't use all too often. Moving over to the second race for today, and we have got Finding the Perfect Spot, a 5.5 mile sprint across mostly asphalt but 10% gravel. But interestingly here, this goes across the C class, the G class, the S class, but the only main requirement is it has to be four-wheel drive. And I think they've made a little bit of an error with this one. I'm going to talk about that when we do get over to it. But opening this one up, all-wheel drive, fantastic, but opening up the categories so we can largely choose what kind of car it is we want to use. And then lastly here, down at the bottom, we do have New Year, New Me. Heard that many times before. 5.6 mile sprint, 100% asphalt, foggy dawn. Largely expect that one to be a wet race in the supercar hypercar category with a minimum requirement of 700. The first time I read that, I did read maximum, so that was casting a bit of doubt, but now I see minimum. It's going to be an open road, that one, guys. It's going to be interesting to see how that one does form out. But as I mentioned earlier, it's Christmas Day. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is you guys are celebrating. Hope you all have a fantastic day. But we're here as always, and we're going to cover off the weekly events that have dropped from TDU. We'll start things off, of course. We will head over to Gathering the Gang, the max 1970 year build, max 400 RP for this one, of course. I can't choose anything else but the Jaguar E-Type. I've got a huge affinity to this car. I've said it many times before, I do believe that this is one of the prettiest cars ever built. Might be a hot take, you guys can let me know. Additionally, you guys can also let me know which car you chose for this one. But let's get on with it and let's see how it handles out here. Of course, off the line, we don't really get the best of launches. Up here into the first tight right-hander, or flowing right-hander there, cut across the track. We do manage to outpace the Mercedes, and we can start to rein in the other two E-Types that are ahead of us. One going wide there, losing a little bit of momentum, cutting across the central reservation, coming through the first gate in second place, 250 points on the board. But as we start to rein in first place, we're going to cut across the road here and try and undercut them into this turn, and we do manage to do so. The back end stepping out just a little bit, but we have maintained first place on the road. Cut back across the central res and get ourselves positioned for the right hand 90 coming up. And again, what we're going to do here is cross through the second gate for this one and hopefully keep ourselves up there in first place from here on out. As we start to come downhill, trying to hold the back end of the E-Type in control here. We'll let it slide round just a little bit there. We can play with the back end of this one just a little bit more than what we have been. We don't have to be all too neat and tidy. Personally, this week, I'm not going for the number one on the leaderboard. I'm just having a little bit of fun with the cars that we have got, letting the back end of the E-Type step around there as we do come through that gate, swing it back round the other way, taking out some gates there on the right hand side. But we have now got 850 points on the board for this domination race as we push through a little bit more here. Downhill into a left-hander. It is a little bit tricky, but we can get nice and tight to those inside gates, and once again, nice and tight to those inside gates, take them out. Why the hell not? It's Christmas Day. We don't lose any momentum over on Hong Kong Island, taking out these inside gates, getting a bit unsettled as we do come up the hill there in the E-Type, but overall we've got a huge lead on the rest of the pack already. We're just enjoying ourselves, guys. It's a nice little present from the game. Is having the weekly live events on Christmas Day. I love it myself. 10-second lead on the rest of the pack. My wife's been gracious enough to give me a couple of hours here at 12 PM. I'm recording this one too. Come up, play the game, make a video for all you wonderful guys that are watching this one today. 30% left of this domination race though. We'll just enjoy what we've got here in the E-Type. As we come up the freeway section, we do need to cut back across. We are on the wrong side of the road, and we just managed to get back across here as we do come off around the off-ramp. Cutting off a lot of pace there. Could have been a little bit quicker, but overall we're still doing alright. We'll let the back end of the E-Type flow out from underneath us once again. Just having a bit of fun with this one. I love driving the E-Type. Again, we don't use it all too often. So enjoying myself whilst driving this. We can see the road surface itself is a little bit wet. I have got the standard road tyres fitted, but overall it's managed the course reasonably well. I would say actually very well. We set a reasonable time here as well. We do take out first place for the first race for today's live weekly event drop from TDU. Absolutely flustered for words, guys. What we'll do now is we'll push over to the second race today, and this is the race that's, piquing my interest a lot here. There's a lot we can do with this one. Now, of course, we're going between the C class, the G class, and the S class. So they've opened up the restrictions for this. The main restriction is it has to be four-wheel drive. There's no max RP for requirement levels, so it does help us out a little bit there. The thing I think they could have done though is restricted it ever so slightly and maybe just had it C class and G class, or perhaps D class, C class and G class. Drop off the supercars, because it's pretty obvious what we're going to go with. We've got four-wheel drive across a wide variety of categories on a 5.5 mile sprint, and it's largely asphalt, so anything but a supercar. You're going to be struggling, I do feel, going into this one. For this, I have obviously jumped into the Jaguar F-Type. I don't get to use this car all too much because I have built this as an off-road vehicle, but I thought, you know what, we're having a bit of fun, why not jump into it today? We're not alone in this race. We do have Knight 2000, where we want to get ahead of them nice and quickly. We cut across that first corner, and we're trying to stretch a bit of a lead on Knight as we come downhill round the left-handers there. Stretching a little bit of a lead so far. We really want to build on this. I want to get a lot of momentum behind us to kind of cripple anybody else from trying to catch up with us. I did say I was trying to have a bit of fun with these ones today, but as soon as I get into a race with someone else, I kind of go into race mode. I want to win, and yeah, that's essentially going to be the goal for race number 2 for today in the Jaguar F-Type it is in fact. Come up into this one, nice little hairpin here, a little bit of handbrake, let the back end flow round on us, get back down in the power nice and early, and punch this one back up the hill as we do come round a couple of left-handers here. Like I mentioned, it is built for off-road. I have fitted on the standard road tyres, but I still have the off-road suspension, the full off-road tune. You can probably see from the way the gearbox is built how quickly this thing shoots up first, second, third and fourth gear. It's built for getting as much power down as quick as it can, and it's actually working quite beneficially here in this race specifically. We can see the handling model isn't perfect, it doesn't stick to the road, it's got quite a little bit of body roll, the suspension's very soft, so it does create a little bit of understeer, but overall we're managing it alright as we come around some of these fast right hand turns. Big left-hander here, I do want to lift off just a little bit. We can see the front end trying to understeer from underneath us, trying to negotiate that one, get the power back down, try to, maybe get the back end to step out as we come into this little chicane here, left hand into a right hand, again getting the power down nice and early, blasting through the gearbox in this one. It's a phenomenal vehicle. Of course, we got this one free with the game, so it has been one of the little golden gems that we have had with the gold edition of TDU SC. 63% through this race already. It is absolutely flying by, and we've already got a substantial lead on Knight 2000 and the rest of the pack as we cross through that gate with an 8.1 second lead. Might not sound a lot, but when we actually look at the minimap, the rest of the pack are nowhere to be seen. As we come around the big sweeping right-handers, we lift here, take some curb, we get a little bit brave. It kind of compromises us coming into these next turns, as we can see, unfortunately taking a little bit of a bump on the left hand wall, but a couple of left-handers here will try to make up some more time. The back end stepping out from us just a little bit, but we managed to maintain it. Another little hairpin here, we go in a little bit slowly, handbrake just a little bit early, not the cleanest of hairpins for myself there, but we do get around it quite well as Knight 2000 comes underneath us blasting the horn. I don't think they're really going to catch us now. 15% left of this one, but as of yet we still haven't went onto the off-road section. It's going to be interesting with standard road tyres how the F-Type is going to perform, and here we go. Let's venture off-road just a little bit, and already we can see just how slippery this off-road section is. It's uphill throughout it all. We know exactly where we're going here. We just slide up to that little right-hander, almost coming to a dead stop, unfortunately, around that left-hander taking the outside wall, but it's not really causing us all too much of an issue. Get the power down, let that back end whip round on us like we're doing right here. A couple of left-handers here, we don't want to go into those ones hot, as we can see it's a sheer drop off the side of this one as we come up this little bit of a mountain. We just want to let this one flow round, feather the throttle, let the back end step round on us as we get round these turns, take the barrier, it's all good, just push up here, cross the line, and take the win for the second race out today. 2 Jaguars back to back. I only actually just noticed that one. One thing that is very interesting for this weekly event, however, is there's only 50 points required to complete it, essentially 5 race wins. And I've seen a lot of people bitching and moaning about last week being 150 points to complete the event. Well, it gives you an opportunity to better yourself in those races. It would have worked out last week, 5 races per event. We'll move on to the sprint race, 5.6 mile in the hypercar supercar category, once again with a minimum RP of 700. And I'm jumping back into the Porsche 918. There's been a lot of chatter recently about the 918 being nerfed in game. I've actually covered up a full video of this coming out on Friday. You guys can check that one out over on Ibiza Island, where we're going to jump into the 918 for the last race here for today. Try to get the lights and the spoiler up here before we do get started off. Jump into the 918 and we'll actually see, has this one been nerfed? Now, of course, it's a hypercar race. Of course, we're in Hong Kong, and of course, the road is wet. Why would it not be? It does seem to be the large amount of the hypercar races. We've got a wet road surface, and it's no change this week. We can see just how slippery the 918 is on this road surface. Again, I do have the standard road tyres fitted here, trying to prepare for this race as much as I possibly could. Already running out of VRS here with the 918. We do need a bit of a braking zone to try and recover some of that battery pack. We do have one coming up ahead here, a heavy braking zone indeed, so we should be able to recover most of the battery, outbraking ourselves, perhaps underestimating how wet that road surface is underneath the Porsche 918. Hairpin coming up here though, we can play about with this one, a little bit of e-brake, try to get that back end swinging round. We actually do it pretty sensationally well, if I do say so myself. Coming back up onto the freeway section, probably could have carried on a little bit more speed, but overall we're doing alright, a 5 or a 6 second lead on the rest of the pack. But we can see, for the most part, in my opinion, the 918 is actually looking still the probable go-to car in the hypercar category when we're not under 1000 RP. Under 1000 RP, we obviously know that with the 918 that the recovery system and the battery pack is largely irrelevant. It doesn't really do anything. It needs to be over 1000 RP. With this race specifically not having a cap on RP, we've got all the power that we want here as we slide across the road. And for me, the 918 still seems to be the go-to hypercar. Still got tons of performance, relatively good handling on a compromised road surface, and the battery pack for the most part does still seem to be very OP. I am still happy with the 918. Just to quickly revert back to something I spoke about leading into the live event today, 50 points for completing out this one. It's only 5 race wins, fantastic. There was some complaints last week, it was 150 points, but when you break it down, it's 5 race wins per event. Go in and better yourself. That's the way I took that one. I actually liked how it was 150 points. This week just being 50 points, we can come in on Christmas Day, knock out 5 races, take the 5 race wins nice and quickly, and get on with the rest of our day. That might be how some people want to approach this one, and it's exactly how I'm approaching this, recording this, editing it, and then I'm going out for Christmas dinner. We've got a couple of percent left of this race, guys. Overall, it's been largely uneventful. It's been very slidey, it's been very slippery. The Porsche has handled it out pretty well, and we do take out race win number 3 in race number 3 for this week's weekly live event. So overall, another feather in the cap for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, another fantastic weekly event. Very happy with the race selections, pretty happy, in fact largely happy with the cars that I did choose as well. I do want to start to expand the garage going into next week. I'm going to start using some of the Celine cars on Ibiza Island, then I'm going to bring them over to Hong Kong, explore what they're like, how good they are, and if they're better than the cars that we already have. That's next week. We've obviously got some interesting videos coming out for the rest of this week. I don't think you guys want to miss them. Yeah, it's Christmas Day, guys. Head out, enjoy yourself, spend time with your family, spend time by yourself, whatever it is you do, guys. Please do have a fantastic day. Stay tuned for more updates on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.